record, we record. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. So it's a pleasure to be talking to you, Renewables in Africa. We Africa Clean Energy Champion. And today we have somebody who is very, very interesting. He just got off the plane, so he's driving back. And I'm talking to Mr. Amrit Chandan. Amrit, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Tony. Good afternoon. I've just come from Kenya, so I'll also say Jambo as well.
Oh wow, okay, Jambo. So I'm hoping that you were able to enjoy a little bit of sunshine. I know you're driving back. You are very busy because you have a busy schedule. So we're just gonna crack on with the few questions that we have for you this afternoon. Is it okay?
That sounds good to me.
Okay. So the first question, just to give justice to your career and the company that you're running, I wanted to know whether you can briefly introduce yourself and also Aceleron, please.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Amrit Chandan. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Aceleron, and we're all about building batteries that are for life. So creating batteries for life. So I started my career studying for a PhD in fuel cell engineering, which are not too dissimilar to batteries. And it was after that PhD I was working, and I met my co-founder Carlton. So Carlton studied, well, he coordinated solar installations across the Caribbean for the earliest part of his career, and came to the UK to study for a master's in business, environment, and sustainability. And while he was studying for that master's, he was also the battery engineer on a electric motorcycle racing team. So we both met and realized that electric vehicles are coming to market in a big way, but there wasn't really a good solution, and there still isn't a good solution for dealing with the waste that they will generate. And we also knew that people around the world want access to good quality energy storage. So energy storage, energy security is directly linked to the development levels of many different societies. And so it's really imperative that people have access to energy storage, because solar prices are dropping, wind prices are dropping, but the sun doesn't always shine and the wind doesn't always blow. So people want to be able to use the energy when they need it, and so batteries are really, really important for that. So we saw there was enough of a problem here to leave our jobs and started out this journey of Aceleron. So we started by taking apart lots and lots of lithium battery packs and realized that they're not designed at all to be serviced or maintained during their life. This leads to lots of unnecessary costs and unnecessary waste. So we redesigned the battery so that we can easily take it apart, and it can be done locally as well. So in places like Kenya, the local population are able to, the local technicians are able to take apart the battery and maintain it, which means that over time they're able to better themselves as well by learning new skills and opening new opportunities. So now, fast forward to today, we're offering services around batteries, really circular economy batteries. So batteries that we put into the field, we maintain them over time, and we're able to increase that access to energy storage and hopefully have a positive impact on people's lives.
Excellent. That's very interesting and very brave from you. I think I have to say that I admire what you're doing. And as you're coming back from Kenya, so one of the countries from a beautiful continent. So I wanted you to tell me, according to you, why is energy storage so important for renewables energy, number one, and especially for Africa?
Yeah, sure. So in many parts of the world, the more developed parts of the world, they already have an established grid infrastructure. And so as they're putting more wind and solar energy, renewable energy generation onto these grid infrastructure, they inevitably have issues with the intermittency. So power is being generated, but it's not necessarily being used, and it's not always needed when it's there and available. So the only way to mitigate this is by having access to lots of battery energy storage, which means that you can store the energy that's being generated by the solar and by the wind, and then use it when it's needed rather than sort of wasting it. In places like sub-Saharan Africa, in Kenya, where there isn't necessarily a grid in all parts of the country, it doesn't make sense to go through the same development that places like the UK went through, where they did develop a grid and it was all based on coal and it was based on oil generators and nuclear generators. Instead, because solar has dropped so much, it's a real opportunity for countries throughout Africa to embrace the clean energy generation that's possible. And there's an abundance of sunlight, there's an abundance of wind, but you need batteries to be able to do this in a way that people can use the energy when they need it. So we can leapfrog the use of coal, oil, and other fossil fuel generation methods and jump straight into using solar and wind because we've got access to batteries.
Excellent, excellent. And there is something that you're doing that is very important for me, because as a renewable energy professional, I usually would say to people, even if the whole world switching to renewable energy today, but we don't associate energy efficiency, we're still going to have the same problem because it's still going to be a lot of waste. And you're really tapping into this idea. So how did you come up with this idea of repurposed batteries? I know you mentioned a little bit in your first answers, but I just wanted to go a little bit more deeper into that.
Yeah, so we knew that electric vehicles were coming to market in a big way, and they are now. They're taking off in a really big way, and which is really good because everyone wants to stop using polluting old vehicles. But the challenge is that because of the way batteries are designed, they're not designed to be taken apart. So they're often built with permanent assembly methods, so spot welding and structural adhesives and other sort of mechanisms. And that means that if you want to repair that battery, you end up actually destroying it in the process. They're not designed with the end of life in mind. And this is a big challenge. So when we started out, I mentioned we took apart lots and lots of lithium batteries, and we were consistently finding that they still had upwards of 80% of their life left in them. But it was really inefficient because they were just being thrown away. There was no way to realize that residual value within the battery. And so we thought there must be a better way to do this, and we actually started designing the battery with the end in mind. So when a battery does need to come to the end of life, well, how can we deal with that waste? How can we solve that challenge? How can we make the battery maintainable? And that's how we came up with the idea of redesigning the battery.
Okay, that's great. So I can definitely see that and hear that one of the unique selling point, if I might say so, of your battery or key quality is the fact that they could be reused, which is great. What are the other key differentiators, would you say, with other products out there? And what is your track record in terms of selling those batteries?
So we're still quite an early stage company. We've been going now for just over three and a half years. But yeah, the main difference between our batteries and a lot of the other batteries is that it can be maintained over time. So you imagine you buy a battery and then 3-4 years later it stops working. You don't need to throw it away and buy a brand new one and spend all that money all over again. You can just pay to have the parts replaced that need replacing so you can get it repaired. And that saves a lot of cost for a lot of people all over the world. And that makes a big difference. It's a lot more efficient than recycling the whole battery at that point. In terms of where we are, so we are doing a lot of work, especially in Kenya. We see that there's a lot of need for better quality battery storage in Kenya and other sub-Saharan African countries. Off-grid solar energy storage off-grid solar systems has taken off in quite a big way, and now we need to make the batteries more efficient as well. So there's a growing e-waste challenge, and there's also a need for batteries. So in Kenya, we've been both repurposing battery packs and building second life battery packs, as well as putting in first life battery packs. So starting with both brand new cells and cells that we've actually managed to harvest. There's nothing wrong with them, but we've managed to harvest them from solar lanterns and solar systems. So we're able to create battery packs which are already maintained, and they can go into solar home systems again, and they can be used in other applications. So we've even had a customer come in and buy a handful of these batteries because he wanted to use it to power his riverboat. He's been doing that since. So there's a lot of use cases for these types of batteries in the region.
Excellent. And I know that you are supported by a number of organizations now, including Shell Foundation. And one thing that we know about Shell Foundation is that they are very much interested, focusing to the impact that entrepreneurs are doing in environment where they're stepping in society. And I wanted to know how, in your case, do you empower the local community with your innovation?
So really good question. So empowerment and positive social impact is core to our company values. And so we're always looking at this and thinking, how can we do this better? So we are able, because of how simple the technology is to put together, we're able to actually train local people who don't necessarily have a technical background um, to be able to then build the batteries. And so we've done this already. We built 200 batteries within Kenya as part of our very first pilot with the Shell Foundation. And we're hugely grateful to the Shell Foundation and all the other organizations that support us, including Department for International Development as well. And being able to sort of build these batteries with no issues, just bringing in the parts and allowing the local unskilled labor force, the local people, to actually build the batteries was really amazing to see, because it's Kenyans building batteries for use in Kenya. That was a really powerful thing. And now we're actually repurposing batteries again, using the local people to actually do that. So they're the ones who are dismantling the batteries and bring them together. And what's really important as well is that these aren't jobs that need to be done by men necessarily. So we're actually able to also give this training to women as well, and that's address that gender balance as well, which is really good.
Excellent. And you mentioned that you just coming back from Kenya, where I believe you attended the Gogla off-grid solar event. And then, if I'm also right, I think you picked up an award there, which was the Global LEAP Solar E-Wastage Awards. Congratulations first. So that's certainly an achievement for a company, I believe, that was founded, I think, 4 years ago, roughly 3-4 years ago.
That's right.
You confirmed
Yeah,
that?
that's right.
Why is that award so important for you? And is it the first big one?
It's quite a big award. So it's given out by CLASP, and there's lots of sort of backers behind that who put their sort of money and effort into that award. For me, it's a really big award because it recognizes the growing challenge with e-waste. 18 months ago, e-waste was not something that was being discussed at all. And now it's on the front of everyone's mind. It's on the tip of everyone's tongue, because everyone recognizes that there has to be a solution for dealing with the e-waste. And we can't just come into the country and put lots of these systems out there and then not be responsible for the ultimate disposal, but trying to sort of make sure that they're repairable and maintainable as well. It's really important. And so that award for us is really good, because it's the start of our partnership with a company called EnviroServe, and also strengthening our existing partnership with the WE Center. So in Nairobi, the WE Center deals with a lot of the waste and does a lot of social good for the surrounding community. And EnviroServe are we'll be working with the Rwanda team to take what we're doing at the WE Center, repurposing local off-grid solar company waste, and putting that into and replicating that over in Rwanda as well. So we're going to be creating repurposed batteries in Rwanda pretty soon as well.
Okay, that's great. And my last question. So you mentioned Kenya, you mentioned Rwanda, where you're active. Where do you see the energy storage market going in Africa in the next 10 years?
So it's interesting, because Kenya is the capital of off-grid solar, and it's where a lot of the sort of technology started. But that's now moving across to West Africa, also even further afield as well. So the models that are working with are being replicated over in Latin America, in India as well, in East Asia. So it's something which is proliferating quite a lot now all over the world. So there's a need for batteries, and wherever this solar being used, wind being used, you need battery storage to do that. So Aceleron is going to be the foundation of clean, sustainable battery technology in all of these places.
Okay, well, we wish Aceleron a very great future for the next 10 years, if not more. And we wish you success in employing and empowering lots of men and women in the continent. It was a pleasure for us to be talking to you this afternoon. I'm only going to say, make sure that you drive back safe back home, and you have a rest, because I'm sure from tomorrow there's going to be some other challenge awaiting for you along the way. So thank you very much, Amrit.
Thanks a lot, Tony, and Jambo again.
Jambo, it was a pleasure.